everyone, and I hope you had a great first week. In this video, I'm going to go over what's going on in week 2. So looking at our home page, I'm looking over here at the to-do list and everything's on there, but it's not really, Canvas does not put it in the order that I would have you go through it. So once again, I suggest you go down here and click the week 2 button and go through the assignments in the order that that I have them on here for you. Okay, so let me pull up our week 2 overview, and you will see that you have some assigned reading this week. So what we're doing with our readings this week is we are getting into this book, Bad Ideas About Writing, and also reading an article. And you're also going to read another essay in the textbook Bad Ideas About Writing, and then watch a TED Talk on Wednesday. Okay, so all of these readings, articles, and TED Talks are all based around the topic of writing as a subject. Okay, so they are meant to give you ideas for possible topics for the inquiry project you'll do later in the semester. So as you're reading these articles, essays, and listening to the TED Talks, what you want to look for are connections you're noticing between all these sources, and for topics that come up that seem interesting to you for any reason. Okay, so all of our readings in the first few weeks of the class are meant to give you ideas for possible topics for that inquiry project, which takes up about 2/3 of our semester. Okay, so let me go first of all back to the overview here, because I want to show you something. So before we look at the synthesis sign up, I want to talk about how the online parlors are going to operate. So last week you read the parlor metaphor, and I looked over those discussion posts, and you all did a great job of interpreting that metaphor and how it can be applied to what happens when you do research and write about a subject. And you'll see in our announcements this week that I just pulled out a few quotes from people's discussions to help you understand that parlor metaphor a little more if you're a little murky on it, not quite sure how it applies to reading and writing. Some of your classmates have done some great interpretations of that. So what we're going to do with this idea of the parlor is try to make that parlor happen online, where people are chiming in on a topic and responding to each other. So we do that through a 3-part cycle. If this seems confusing to you, don't worry. It is usually a little confusing the first week, but all you need to worry about is following along with what is due each day, and you'll see how this 3-part cycle works. So if you're not getting the overall picture of how the parlor cycle works, don't worry about it. Just follow along with the assignments and you'll do fine. Okay, so we're trying to mimic that back and forth conversation about a topic that happens in a parlor by listening to each other, putting in your own ideas, and trying to understand what everyone else is saying. All right, so those online parlor guidelines kind of give you an overview. And you're going to post the first discussion post for your online parlor in response to these 2 texts below. Okay, so you'll go to this textbook, Bad Ideas About Writing, and read Reading and Writing Are Not Connected. And you can look in the table of contents or just plug it into the PDF, starts on page 49. And I want to give you a hint. Okay, this is something that sometimes trips up some students. Please note that the name of the textbook is Bad Ideas About Writing. So the way this book is set up is that each article, each essay in the book takes a bad idea about writing and tries to prove it wrong. Okay, so for this first one, this statement that reading and writing are not connected is a bad idea about writing. They're obviously connected. And so the writer goes, her task is to try to make you understand how reading and writing are connected. Okay, so that's true with every single article you read in this textbook, that all of the titles are bad ideas about writing that the author is trying to prove wrong. Okay, so read both of these first, and then you want to write a response of at least 300 words. And you need to get to that 300 word mark to get full credit for the assignment. And just you're discussing, this is not a real formal response. You can use first person. Pick out some of these questions. You don't need to include please do not include the questions in your response. Just respond to any of them. You don't have to respond to all of them. Maybe pick out a few that seem most interesting to you. And you need to be addressing both of these sources in your response, okay? And then you can see this is the grading criteria down here. So really important that you turn that in on time. So that one is due by Monday at 11:59. I'm going to go back and talk about the Synthesis sign-up. Since if you saw in the Online Parlor guidelines, the first thing is that everybody posts in each online parlor, but then not everybody does a synthesis each time. So depending on which group you're in, you'll click on your group's sign-up sheet, and you will do only one synthesis this semester, okay? And you will sign up for that. Once everybody signs up, I will assign it to you on Canvas so that it will show up in your to-do list on the day that you need to be doing it. Okay, so we have some due next week, and oops. Okay, so you can see, sign up for which one you think works best with your schedule. If you do not sign up, I will sign you up. Okay, and then just put that in Canvas. So for this aspect of the Parlor cycle, you're doing one this semester, so you put your name down once, and you'll see how it works once we get into the synthesis. So I'm actually going to do the first one for you as a model this week. So after that, students will be doing them. Okay. So make sure that you do that sign up, and then what will happen is I will be posting the my synthesis of your online parlor posts on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday you do a talk back. So you read my synthesis of your responses, and you write a talk back synthesis based on these questions. Okay, so it's not posted yet, but it will be. And once everyone has turned those in and I look through them, all right? And that's the third part of the Parlor process, okay? Then we start another Parlor with Online Parlor 2 and start the whole process over, okay? And then on Friday, you have your first studio. So studios are the 4th hour component of this course. They are very important, but they're not graded because they are a place for you to practice a lot of the concepts and practices of the course. However, they are critical for you moving forward. For each studio, you are preparing for what you're doing in your homework by practicing in the studio. So for this critical reading and making connections studio, it is due by midnight on Friday. And this one helps you think about how to get ideas for research from the sources that you are assigned. So you're going to watch a video from the library and read an article, another article on bad ideas about writing. And then you're going to come up with a list of possible questions and topics, and you'll submit that to the Google form. And once you do that, you'll get my model list back. So you can't get that until you submit your own list that you've already made, and then you write a reflection. So this is the way all the studios are set up. There's several steps where you're often reading something, practicing something, and then submitting a reflection. Okay. So if you have questions about that, please let me know. You can post them to let me go back up here. Remember our Ask the Professor forum. Okay. So if you haven't subscribed to this yet, please do. All right. And that's about it for this week. If you have questions, post them. And I hope you have a great second week of classes.